بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Ma'moon, we still waiting.
Right here.
Allahu Akbar. طاهر. Gotta open him up. Khair. Jazakallah khair. Alright. So inshallah we'll get started tonight. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. With Lulu Marjan. We're still in Kitab al-Radha'. And we're moving forward to the second chapter, if I'm not mistaken, in which the author states, باب تحريم الرضاعة من ماء الفحل. حديث عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها أنها قالت استأذن علي أفلح أخو أبي القعيس بعدما أنزل الحجاب فقلت لا آذن له حتى أستأذن فيه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فإن أخاه أبا القعيس ليس هو أرضعني ولكن أرضعتني امرأة أبي القعيس فدخل علي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقلت له يا رسول الله إن أفلح أخا أبي القعيس استأذن فأبيت أن آذن حتى أستأذنك فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وما منعك أن تأذنين عمك قلت يا رسول الله إن الرجل ليس هو أرضعني ولكن أرضعتني امرأة أبي القعيس فقال ائذني له فإنه عمك تربت يمينك. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها أنها قالت استأذن علي أفلح فلم آذن له فقال أتحتجبين مني وأنا عمك فقلت كيف ذلك قال أرضعتك امرأة أخي بلبن أخي فقالت سألت عن ذلك رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال صدق أفلح ائذني له. Chapter 2 states, suckling from the breast of the wife of a man makes marriage etc. illegal with his children. Hadith 917, narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, Aflah, the brother of Abi al-Qais, asked permission to visit me after the order of al-hijab was revealed. I said I would not permit him unless I take the permission of the Prophet ﷺ about him. It was not the brother of Abi al-Qais, but the wife of Abi al-Qais that nursed me. The Prophet ﷺ entered upon me, and I asked him, O Allah's Messenger, Aflah, the brother of Abi al-Qais, asked the permission to visit me, but I refused to permit him unless I took your permission. The Prophet ﷺ said, what stopped you from permitting him? He is your uncle. I said, O Allah's Messenger, the man was not the person who had nursed me, but the woman, the wife of Abi al-Qais, had nursed me. He said, admit him, for he is your uncle. Taribat yaminuki, may your right hand be in dust. Hadith 918 is narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, Aflah asked permission to visit me, but I did not allow him. He said, do you veil yourself before me, although I'm your uncle? Aisha said, how is that? Aflah replied, you were suckled by my brother's wife and my brother's milk. I asked Allah's Messenger ﷺ about it. He said, Aflah is right, so permit him to visit you. Right. So this chapter is another detail or another set of details and rulings pertaining to suckling and the effects, the consequences, al-ahkam al-mutarattibatu ala thubut al-rada'a. Al-ahkamu al-muta'alliqa wal-mutarattibatu ala al-rada'a. The rulings that pertain to when there is suckling. When a woman breastfeeds a child. The moment that woman breastfeeds that child in a certain period of time, and the woman breastfeeds the child for a certain amount of times, we now have a Rolodex of ahkam, rulings that are established. You flip through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. And from those rulings is A, B, C, etc., 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 etc. Marriage, divorce, hijab, so on and so forth. And from that, وَمِن ذَلِكَ, and from that is that which is mentioned in the chapter heading, suckling from the breast of the wife of a man makes marriage illegal with his children. It goes down and it goes down and it goes down. This person was fed. This person is a foster brother or foster sister. Then the same applies to. That's established already. The child that fed. That's not an issue of discussion. It's not an issue with Aisha, but it's also the what? Huh? Like, is that chapter heading even accurate? تحريم الرضاعة من ماء الفحل. All right, this chapter heading says suckling from the breast of the wife of a man makes marriage illegal with his children. And in Arabic it says تحريم الرضاعة من ماء الفحل, which literally means the ماء الفحل, the man's fluid, the man's semen, obviously being the source and the starting point of the woman's what? Milk. So any child that drinks from that milk, so on and so forth. Now listen carefully, inshallah, as we explain these hadiths, or as we get into this issue, to further simplify things, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. All right. So, An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here regarding this chapter, and regarding these ahadith, إلى آخره. وذكر الحديث السابق في أول الباب عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أنها قالت يا رسول الله لو كان فلانا حيا لعمها من الرضاعة دخل عليه. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نعم إن الرضاعة تحرم ما تحرم الولادة. اختلف العلماء في عم عائشة المذكور، فقال أبو الحسن القابسي هما عمان لعائشة من الرضاعة، أحدهما أخو أبيها أبي بكر من الرضاعة ارتضع هو وأبو بكر رضي الله عنه من امرأة واحدة، والثاني أخو أبيها من الرضاعة الذي هو أبو القعيس، وأبو القعيس أبوها من الرضاعة، وأخوه أفلح عمها، وقيل هو عم واحد، وهذا غلط، فإن عمها في الحديث الأول ميت وفي الثاني حي جاء يستأذن، فالصواب ما قاله أبو القابسي أو ما قاله القابسي. وذكر القاضي القولين ثم قال قول القابسي أشبه، لأنه لو كان واحدا لفهمت حكمه من المرة الأولى ولم تحتجب منه بعد ذلك، فإن قيل فكيف أو فإذا كان عمين كيف سألت عن الميت وعلمها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه عم لها يدخل عليها واحتجبت عن عمها الآخر أخي أبي القعيس حتى أعلمها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بأنه عمها يلج عليها، فهل اكتفت بأحد السؤالين؟ فالجواب أنه يحتمل أن أحدهما كان عما من أحد الأبوين والآخر منهما أو عما أعلى والآخر أدنى أو نحو ذلك من الاختلاف، فخافت أن تكون الإباحة مختصة بصاحب الوصف المسؤول عنه أولا والله أعلم. So first and foremost is a great deal of discrepancy with regards to who is Aisha's uncle in these hadiths. Who exactly is her uncle? Everyone understand this? Who's the uncle of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha? So hadith number 917, listen carefully. It says, استأذن علي أفلح أخو أبي القعيس. The man who came knocking on the door, his name was Aflah. Aflah wanted to visit me. He wanted to visit Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. And as we explained in our last class, we're mentioning some of the benefits We were trying to massage your minds with regards to another issue, and that is the issue of hijab and a woman covering her hands and her face. And those ulama who said that a woman must cover her hands and her face in front of a non-mahram, and those who say that she does not, but she should in front of a non-mahram. What is the purpose of the man coming to ask for permission if she can sit in front of him with her hands and her face uncovered? Does that make any sense? Or is someone coming in asking to seek entrance and she isn't wearing anything at all? Right? We were explaining this. What is most plausible? Aisha radiallahu anha in front of a mahram man is wearing what she would wear in front of the Prophet. Or what's meant by entering upon her, sitting with her, speaking with her, is her showing him her face and hands. What makes the most what? Sense. We're not here to support a statement or to reject a statement, but I'm trying to, as I said, massage your minds to show you how the masail work. Those who say that a woman does not have to cover her hands and her face in front of a non-mahram man, their proofs and their evidences. And most proofs and evidences that you hear will be a set of proofs and evidences. But there are other proofs and evidences that those who counter that argument use, aside from what they mention. And from that, one could use this issue. Ista'dhana alayya. He asked permission to enter. You can't allow him in. Aisha says, I will not allow him in to see what? Listen carefully. Her hands and her face, or to see her in a different state. If her hands and her face were exposed to everyone, it wasn't obligatory. What is the big deal of, everyone understand this? Let me come in. You guys got it or not? All right, someone is coming to visit you in your house. Your wife is there. Hold on, wait a second. She says, don't open up the door yet. Because she's not uncovered, like in the house, wearing house clothes, or she just has her hands and her face out. And I see your wife with her hands and her face in your home, like every Tom, Dick, and Harry sees her what? Outside. In the streets. So you have to use the aql now. Everyone understand this? It is a different level. This is my uncle. He comes in, he sees my hands, my face, hug, kiss. No, don't allow him in because, well, on the train, in school, at work, everybody sees your hands and your face. Everyone understand this or not? So that was what we had mentioned in the last class. Right. So the man who sought permission to enter upon Aisha, hadith number 917, his name was Aflah.
Chef, are you talking about only sisters or brothers?
لا لسه ما نصل إلى حكم هو نتذاكر فيما سبق لسه ما نصل إلى حكم قرار جازم عرفت كيف؟
forget about قرار بس أنا بدي أسأل هذا يعني تتكلم من الأخت والأخ أو ما بلا الأخ؟
لا ليس أخا لها.
أنا عارف. Are you talking about what the sister and brother did? Like if we compare brother to sister, I mean brother and sister, or are you talking about
لا خير.
sisters?
الإخوان والأخوات عادي.
Oh, okay.
عادي يدخل بعضهم على بعض عادي.
Because I remember when I was 7 years old, I used to listen to my uncle's wife conversation while she was talking to her husband. She used to get in the room, close it. I want to go in, but she used to close the door.
لا عادي هذا يختلف هذا عادي. لا هذا ما ليس فيه شيء.
وهذا ايش الحديث هذا؟
على النصر إن شاء الله. طيب. So Aflah, and Aflah is the brother of this man whose name is Abu Qais. He wanted to come in بعدما أنزل الحجاب, after the ayat pertaining to hijab were sent down. Meaning before those ayat were sent down, entering upon this woman, one of the Prophet's wives, wasn't the what? Wasn't the same. It was different. In other words, if you entered upon someone, if you saw something, it wasn't what? Once again, what was meant by the hijab being sent down? Were these men, did they have access to see them wearing any other type of clothes? Or was it the what? The face. Everyone understand or not? The hijab has been sent down. He can no longer what? See my face. Or the hijab was sent down. He can see my hair, my neck, and everything else. That is the hijab, and the hands and the face aren't included. And what is not allowed to be seen by a non-mahram man. Al-Muhim, Aflahu, whose brother is Abu Qais. He wanted to come in after the hijab was sent down. Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, فَقُلْتُ لَا آذَنُ لَهُ, I will not allow him into my home حَتَّى أَسْتَأْذِنَ فِيهِ النَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وسلم, until I asked the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, is it okay for this man to enter upon me, to see me? Alright, moving forward. فَإِنَّ أَخَاهُ أَبَا الْقُعَيْسِ لَيْسَ هُوَ أَرْضَعَنِي, because his brother, Abu Qais, I shared no relation with him with regards to the breastfeeding. وَلَكِنْ أَرْضَعَتْنِي إِمْرَأَةُ أَبِي الْقُعَيْسِ, his wife was the one that fed me, that suckled me. Everybody with me so far? So Aflah, the brother of Abu Qais, Aflah's brother Abu Qais didn't feed Aisha. Aisha is saying, so how can he come in and see me? He's not my mahram. But instead, the only one that fed me, the only one that suckled me was who? Whose wife? Aflah's wife? Abu Qais' wife. So the chapter heading is stating that anything that comes from the man, then it also applies to the man. Abu Qais' wife fed Aisha, not Abu Qais. The milk of Abu Qais' wife came from? Everybody understand this? So it's the same what? Same ruling. Everybody clear on this or not?
Yes.
Alright, if I was a woman, and if I said this man didn't suckle me, how can he come in and see me without my hijab on? Right or wrong? And that's true. His wife was the one who, but his wife got the milk from the man, Abu Qais. So therefore the tahrim is what?
Same.
Established. Everybody clear on this? And the same will apply to anyone else from that line or connected to that line. Everybody understand this or not? So the man isn't necessarily important. It is what comes from the man that provides the breast milk. So therefore, based off of that, who will be Aisha's mahram? Abu Qais for sure. And Aflah will be considered her what? Her uncle. Because that's the brother of Abu Qais. Her uncle would normally be a mahram for her? Right or wrong? Right or wrong? The uncle is a mahram. And the niece is a what? Vice versa, they're mahrams. We took in the previous chapter that the rada'a, the breastfeeding, it makes unlawful what?
The blood.
What wilada makes unlawful. So my uncle from blood is mahram. Uncle from breast milk would also be mahram. So 2 chapters in one. 2 for 1 sale. Everybody understand this? Tuharrimu rada'a, huh? Ma tuharrimu al-wilada. Everybody understand the hadith? Alright, listen carefully. It then says, فَدَخَلَ عَلَيَّ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. So the Prophet entered upon me. فَقُلْتُ لَهُ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, O Messenger of Allah, she asked, إِنَّ أَفْلَحَ أَخَا أَبِي الْقُعَيْسِ اسْتَأْذَنَ فَأَبَيْتُ أَنْ آذَنَ حَتَّى أَسْتَأْذِنَكَ. Aflah wanted to come in. I told him no until I sought your permission. I refused to. فَقَالَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, وَمَا مَنَعَكِ أَن تَأْذَنِينَ. What stopped you? Why wouldn't you let this man in to see you? Ammuki, he is your uncle. فقلت يا رسول الله إن الرجل ليس هو الذي أرضعني. Allah's messenger, the man wasn't the one who gave me the milk. It was his wife. ولكن أرضعتني امرأة أبي القعيسي. Not even the man, but it wasn't even him. It was his brother's wife. His brother's wife gave me the milk. فقال ائذني له فإنه عمك. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, allow him in, for indeed he is your uncle. Taribat yaminuka. May your right hand be dusty. You understand this? Fadfar bidhat dini taribat yaminuka. Right? Whether the Prophet was saying this as a good thing for her, or whether he was saying it to her in a manner of فكلتك أمك لا أم لك سبحان الله تطهرين بها. Like, yo, let him in. May Allah guide you. That type of mindset, right? You're being obstinate and stubborn and you're wrong, right? Or let him in. He's your uncle. May Allah bless you. Empty your cup. You understand? What's important is that Aflah was Aisha's uncle. Why? How could Aflah be considered her uncle? Because what? Aflah shares blood with Abul Qais. Abul Qais was the reason and cause behind his wife's milk that was given to Aisha. Fahimna? Everyone understand? Simplified now? So let's go back to the chapter now. Listen to the chapter heading. Babu tahrim rada'ati min ma' al-fahli. Alright? It says that rada'a, breastfeeding, is established, all of its rulings are established through nothing else but the ma'ul fahl, the semen of the man. The semen of the man is going to go here, 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 and there. And wherever it goes, then the tahrim is established. Everyone understand this? In English it says, suckling from the breast of the wife of a man makes marriage, etc., illegal with his children. And obviously, is Aisha's Aflah wasn't the man. It wasn't even his ma'ul fahl. Everyone understand the difference here, the discrepancies? Moving forward to the next hadith. It says here, listen carefully, hadith Aisha رضي الله عنها أنها قالت استأذن علي أفلح فلم آذن له. Same thing. Aflah wanted to come in, I told him no. فقال أتحتجبين مني وأنا عمك. Aflah said, you keep your hijab on and I'm your uncle. Once again, what hijab was he talking about? Everyone understand this? It then states, فَقُلْتُ وَكَيْفَ ذَلِكَ. How can that be? What do you mean you're my uncle? قال أرضعتك امرأة أخي بلبن أخي. Listen carefully. أرضعت, he says listen carefully. أرضعتك امرأة أخي بلبن أخي. He says, my brother's wife suckled you from my brother's milk. Everyone understand this? Literal translation. فقالت سألت عن ذلك رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال صدق أفلح إذني له. I want to ask the Prophet about that. He says, Aflah is right. Open up the door. Everybody clear on this? So the second hadith, hadith 918, is even clearer than hadith 917. So the khulasa, the summary of these two hadiths and of this chapter heading is what we have explained. Everyone understand this? So if you're studying fiqh, if you're studying a madhab, Hanafi madhab, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, whatever madhab you're studying a small, simple manual, or you finish a small book, you're on the middle level, whatever you're studying, you take this hadith and you're going to put it with what you read in the points of that madhab. If you've studied that there's difference of opinion on this issue, so on and so on and so forth, you now know one of the sources of that school of thought. If there's no difference of opinion, if there's consensus, you now know the source of that consensus. Everybody clear on this or not? If it's confusing, if you want further detail, I don't get the point, then you now, the question mark is in your head now. And just reading these hadiths, reading this chapter heading, you now have the light bulb in your head. Just knowing that something is an issue to research, is difference of opinion, is further, so on and so forth. Everybody clear on this with regards to al-manhajiyatu fi talab al-ilm. All right, the proper methodology of systematically studying and how to benefit from the kutub al-fiqh, how to benefit from kutub al-hadith, kutub al-sharh, etc. Ahadith al-ahkam. Everybody understand this? Moving forward. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, an explanation of Sahih Muslim, he mentions what the ulama of Islam said regarding who exactly was Aisha's uncle. Who was the uncle? Was the uncle living? Was the uncle dead? So on and so forth. Khair inshallah ta'ala. Moving forward. Other fawaid of this hadith. First and foremost, فيه مشروعية الاستئذان قبل الدخول, is the legality of seeking permission before you enter upon someone. وهذا قد سبق. We've mentioned that before. And this hadith فيه سبب أو يعني this hadith goes to show ربط بين العلوم والفنون. how the different sciences are connected. Fiqh, hadith, asbab al-nuzul. Why the verses were what? Sent down. And also goes to show you history and how there are rulings that were sent down after other things, after other rulings. And we benefit from that with regards to an-nasikh wal-mansukh. The rulings that were abrogated and cancelled. Everyone understand this? Ba'dama unzilal hijab. After the hijab was sent down. So you may read a hadith, a companion came, a man came, he wanted to sit with this woman, he spoke to the Prophet's wife, etc., 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 etc. He looked at her, that may have been before the hijab was sent down. And this hadith also goes to show, وَفِيهِ مَنْقَبَةٌ وَفَضِيلَةٌ لِعَائِشَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَنْهَا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. It's a virtue of Aisha. Whereas when the verses were sent down, she implemented those verses. And she had acted upon those verses, and the rulings that were before were no longer now. Everybody understand this or not? Is that she implemented Allah Azza wa Jalla's mandate. There's no longer allowed for this man or this person to come to see you, so on and so forth. Moving forward, this hadith also goes to show with regards to seeking ilm, وَلَا تَخْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ. Never approach a thing of which you have no knowledge. You're unsure, you don't know, دَعْ مَا يَرِيبُكَ. Leave it alone. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you what? If you don't know. I'm not going to do anything حَتَّى أَسْتَأْذِنْ, until I ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We benefit from that hadith. Another fa'idah from this hadith. فِيهِ حُجِّيَّةُ السُّنَّةِ. This shows us the legal authority of the sunnah. Whereas if the Prophet said something, it would automatically be binding. Regardless of what was what. Listen carefully. Aisha, she says after the hijab was what? Sent down. If the Prophet said yes, if the Prophet said no, the Prophet was the legislature. He was the shari'. And what he would have told her would have been the ruling. Everybody understand this? We also benefit from this hadith is respect for one's husband. And exalting and magnifying the status and the right of the husband. If the husband does not want a man in his house, what? The man is not to enter the house. Father, mother-in-law, this one, that one. My husband said no. I have to ask my husband's permission. Right? So any woman who's married in her husband's home, she should be mindful what? Of this. And many, many marital problems come from people entering the house or people not entering the house for or against the husband's wishes. The husband says your parents can't come visit you. Obviously, that's going to cause a great deal of distress. My parents can't come in my house? No. Your mother is evil. She's a fitna maker. She's a fitna monger. She's a ghiba monster. It's a mushkila. No doubt my mother has a problem with ghiba. I know that as a fact. She raised me. She always talked about people her whole life. May Allah forgive her. But she's still my mother. You telling me that my mom can't come? She can't even come over to see the kids? It's a what? It's a problem. What's the solution to that problem? What the husband says, what the wife wants, what the mother wants. An easy solution for the mother to do what? Stop making riba, and all the problems would go away. Right? One sin leads to other social problems, and this is a fact. Sins lead to social dysfunctionality. Taking it from the horse's mouth as an imam, as a counselor. You know how many problems people go through in their marriages because of sin. Stop doing this evil act. It's haram upon you, and it destroys the fabric of family and society. You're talking and speaking about people, making namima and making ghiba. It's a mushkila, fi'lan. It's a problem with your Lord, and it's a problem with your daughter, with your husband, and your grandchildren. Your husband's too harsh, he's too mean, blah, 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 blah. Stop making riba. You can come over, you can have tea, you can have coffee, and we can all live happily ever after. You keep making riba, you keep causing fitna, you keep gossiping. I don't allow that in my house. I don't want my children around it. I don't want you to poison my wife any further. Or the father or sister or any what? Anybody else. Everybody understand this? A cousin who isn't a mahram that you grew up with, a friend, etc. So Aisha radiallahu anha did not allow the man in until she asked the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. This hadith, we also benefit and learn from it, is that the husband is never to show favoritism to his wife in front of the truth. Aisha was wrong, he told her she was wrong, and that's the end of the story. It's his wife, his favorite wife, innahu ammuki. You are wrong, you erred, he is your uncle. Another fact that we're given this hadith is never to be overzealous with your jealousy. If a man is a mahram for your wife, then he is allowed to see, to sit, and to talk with your wife. He's a mahram. Everyone understand this? Never go extreme with regards to that. Wallahu ta'ala alam. As far as hadith 918, then we learn from this hadith is to affirm the truth. Whoever says it, sadaqa aflah. Aflah has spoken the truth. It's to confirm the truth, so affirm the truth. The one who says it. And this hadith also goes to show here, atahtajibin minni wa ana ammuki, is that Aflah had some fiqh with him. He says, you're going to cover up in front of me, and I am your uncle? Proving that a woman does not have to cover up in that manner in front of her what? In front of her All right. Now, the question is, once again, what's meant by atahtajibin? Antmai wallah. You my thought, my process of thought. You wear your hijab in front of me, and I'm your uncle. What was meant by that? No hijab whatsoever, or all right? I'll let you guys answer the what? answer that question. Khairin inshallah ta'ala. Let's move forward to the next hadith or the next chapter. Chapter number 3. The author states, "Babu tahrim ibnat al-akhi min al-rada'a." حديث ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في بنت حمزة لا تحل لي يحرم من الرضاع ما يحرم من النسب هي بنت أخي من الرضاعة. Chapter 3 says, it is forbidden to marry the stepdaughter of a foster brother. Hadith 919 is narrated Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said about Hamza's daughter, I am not legally permitted to marry her, as foster suckling relations are treated like blood relations. She is the daughter of my foster brother. All right, once more, another ruling, another branch of these ahkam. Tahrimu ibnatil akh min al-rada'ati. So how many family members do we have here, or how many human beings are mentioned? Ibnatu and what? Al-akh. The daughter of
Your brother.
brother. The daughter of your brother, who would normally be your what?
Your blood.
Your what? Your niece. Right? My daughter, my brother's daughter is my what?
Niece.
Is my niece. Right? But this person isn't actually your what? Your blood brother. But instead he is your,
Foster.
meaning from? Not adoption, but from? Suckling. Everybody clear on this? So there are two boy babies. They share the same woman's milk. Everybody clear on this? Any one of those two daughters is going to be eternally what? Perpetually? Haram. They can never ever what? Marry. Because the brothers were brothers from the same? Anyway, even if it's not by blood, as we explained. And this reiterates that one point, is that milk and blood are same. How many times does the baby have to feed, and what age? We'll get there. But once it's established, that thabatat, once it's established, then it's no difference than actual DNA, than the blood, with regards to mahram, marriage or not marriage. Everybody clear on this or not? Khair inshallah ta'ala. All right, let's move forward to the next chapter. Babu tahrim al-rabibati wa ukht al-mar'ah. حديث حبيبة رضي الله تعالى عنها أنها قالت قلت يا رسول الله هل لك في بنت أبي سفيان قال أفعل ماذا قلت تنكحوا قال أتحبين قلت لست لك بمخلية وأحب من شركني فيك أختي قال إنها لا تحل لي قلت بلغني أنك تخطب أو أنك تخطب قال ابنة أم سلمة قلت نعم قال لو لم تكن ربيبتي ما حلت لي أرضعتني وأباها ثويبة فلا تعرضن أو فلا تعرضن علي بناتكن ولا أخواتكن. Chapter 4 says, it is forbidden to marry the stepdaughter and the sister of the wife. Hadith 920 is narrated Habiba, may Allah be pleased with her. I said, O Allah's Messenger, do you like to have the daughter of Abu Sufyan? The Prophet ﷺ said, what should I do with her? I said, marry her. He said, do you like that? I said, in parentheses, yes, for even now, I am not your only wife. So I like that my sister should share with me. He said, she is not lawful for me. I said, we have heard that you want to marry. He said, the daughter of Salama? I said, yes. He said, even if she were not my stepdaughter, she would be unlawful for me to marry. For Thuwayba suckled me and her father. So you should neither present your daughters nor your sisters to me. Very interesting, huh? Many interesting points in that hadith. Naam. So the chapter heading says that there are two women whom you cannot marry. The first is al-Rabiba, your stepdaughter, the daughter of your wife. No details are mentioned here in the chapter. The wife that you've consummated the marriage with, the stepdaughter who lives in your home or doesn't live in your home. She lives with her father. She left her mother's home when you got married to the mother. What's important, the chapter heading says what? Rabiba. That's point number one. Point number two, wa ukhtil mar'ati, and a woman's sister, meaning your woman's sister. Meaning your what? Your sister-in-law. But on what level is that impermissible? Perpetually, or while you're married to
Your wife.
the wife? Everybody understand the difference here? All right. Mahram is obviously going to be someone that you can never ever marry. But it doesn't mean that there aren't temporary or conditional levels or types of impermissibility. Everybody understand this or not? And the Rabiba and your sister-in-law do not have to share the same level of impermissibility. You never ever marrying the stepdaughter versus you divorce your wife or your wife asks for the khula, whatever, then you marry what? The sister. But at the moment, you aren't allowed to what? Marry her. All right. Khair inshallah. Hadith 920. Listen carefully. We read the translation word for word. Now let's break down. Let's dissect the hadith now. All right. That's the main point from the hadith. Now let's dissect and see where we get these main points from the actual text. So Habiba, she says, Ya Rasulullah, hal laka fi binti Abi Sufyan. Would you like to marry the daughter of Abu Sufyan? That's interesting. The woman is asking her husband about marrying another woman. In 2023, extremely rare, if not extinct. Everyone understand this? You understand? An endangered species, you may see one here and there, right? What other types are there? They have other terms that they use for certain animals that are an absolutely endangered species. No, not extinct. It's just a level before that. And they go on and off the list. La. That's another word. It's another term that they use. It's another term that they use.
Semi-extinct.
La.
Endangered.
La. Maybe I'm mistaken. They have it on a list, then they have it on another list. It's like different levels, different colors, and which is like all the way almost extinct. And versus those that aren't endangered, but so on and so forth, they're having a problem. What's important is something being extinct is gone. Something is almost extinct. Something which it isn't necessarily almost extinct, but it's scarce in nature, in the wild. It's scarce, but isn't necessarily threatened. Anybody with me or not?
No.
So with the concept of a man marrying more than one woman, let alone the wife suggesting for her husband to marry another woman. You ever heard of that? Hamza? Ahmed? Nah? Anybody? What's important is Habiba radiallahu anha, the Prophet's wife, our mother, she asked him. She offered him to marry a woman. Right? Would you like to marry one? And that woman was her what?
Sister
Her sister. The daughter of
Salama.
of her
Abu Hamza.
of her father, Abu Sufyan.
Abu Sufyan. Tayyib. Everybody understand this? Habiba, her name was what?
Habiba ibn Abi
That's a
ibn
kunya.
Sufyan.
Huh? What was her name? طيب المهم Habiba radiallahu anha, she said هل لك في بنت أبي سفيان would you have any interest with the daughter of Abu Sufyan other than herself? The Prophet he replied he says فأفعل ماذا? What would I do with her? You get it? How can I marry her? What do you mean? قلت تنكحوا, marry. And this part of the hadith proves as what is the nature of a relationship between a male and a female. Friendship, buddies, we can drink tea together, have biscuits, we can, just relax and be friends. Right? What else would there be for a man with a what? A woman. You understand the fitra or not? You get it or not? هل لك في the daughter of Abu Sufyan, the Prophet said, what would I do with her? Common sense, meaning what? Nikah. Can I be friends with the opposite sex? Can me and her be friends? Can we be friends at work? So on and so forth. Right? You guys get the point I'm trying to make? Alright. So she says, Tanki'u. You'll marry her. قال أتحبين. Is that what makes you happy? And this goes to show is that the husband should try his best to make his wife happy. And he should try his best to respect her wishes. And he should try his best to accommodate what will please her and make her feel good. Is that what you like? Tuhibbin? That is the reason why you're suggesting that to me? Right? So she says, Lastu laka bi mukhliyatin. Allahu Akbar. What's the purpose of why you asked me this? I can't have you all for myself if I wanted to. I understand? If I wanted to what? I couldn't. So what is the point of me not? Guys, with me or not? Right? If I wanted to just be me and you, that would be impossible. So therefore, due to the fact that it's not me and you, what's the harm in what? Labas. And who will be a better co-wife than my sister? All right, moving forward. وأحب أو أحب من شاركني فيك أختي. وأحب ليس أحب وأحب. And the best of people, the best candidate for a sister wife or co-wife would be my blood sister. Who better than my actual sister? قال إنها لا تحل لي. I'm sorry, Habiba. I would love to respect your wishes, to honor your wishes, fulfill your request, but Allah has made it unlawful. And this hadith, and this part of hadith, goes to show that the Prophet ﷺ was not a man who abused women. He was not a womanizer. He was not a man that was driven by his lust and conquered by his lust and took any woman that was offered to him and thrown at him, as we read in many hadiths before. If the Prophet ﷺ was a person of his desires, if he was a man that was just led by his lust, then he would what? Marry her. No man like that turns down a woman. Right? Everybody clear on this or not? That's crystal clear. She isn't lawful for me. Bottom line. So my wife's feelings, me being with another woman, all of that is subjugated to the ruling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّهَا لَا تَحِلُّ لِي. I can't marry her. Moving forward. قُلْتُ بَلَغَنِي أَنَّكَ تَخْطُبُ. Look at this now. It has reached me. I've heard that you're what? You're searching for another wife. Back then now. You understand? I heard that you're on the market, that you're on the hunt, that you're on the search for another wife. Balaghani. I've heard that you're seeking a khitbah, right? Qala ibnata ummi salama. The daughter of Salama. Is that what you heard? Is that what you have on your mind? Qultu na'am. Yes. Qala law lam takun rabibati ma halat li. If she wasn't my stepdaughter, she wouldn't what? She wouldn't be lawful for me. The daughter of Salama is the Prophet's what? Stepdaughter. The Prophet married Salama. The hadith, Salama didn't want to marry the Prophet. She was jealous. And she had a young daughter. Right? when the Prophet ﷺ asked her hand in marriage. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. When Abu Salama died, right? Right? Who could be better than Abu Salama? The very first house to make. What husband? We did a khutbah on this. We explained this. All right? You guys remember or not? Huh? You guys remember or not? You don't remember? Tell you. Who remembered? Who was here? You remember Muzammil?
Yeah.
What was the gist of everything? What did we say?
Yeah. So Salama lost her husband, Abu Salama.
All right, radiallahu anhu.
And then she wanted. It's like she was feeling lost, and the Prophet told Zayd ibn Harith to go to her to ask her for for marriage. And then
Zayd ibn Haritha. That's what we said in the khutbah. Or Ibn Abi Balta'a.
I don't know what that was.
Fadda.
Yeah, and then she told him that she refused. And she said
She told the Prophet no?
I think so.
Basically.
Yeah.
Tayyib.
Because she said who would be better than Abu Salama, and then she has a daughter, and
What was the Prophet's reply?
he said that I think he told her to I don't know if he told her, but she made istikhara.
Moving forward, let's get back to the hadith and the importance of review. You guys may think it was just, me talking, right? Like always, but it's fawaid and rulings intentionally mentioned there. Sahih? Everybody clear on this or not? You get an explanation, you get an fawaid for free. Not just the iman boosting khutbah. Right? Fair law, this and that, and then that's it. Khalas. La. Hopefully you guys can understand and respect, right? The technique, as they say. Naam, you get it? You get in the hadith, you get in the rulings, you get in the story, so the spiritual benefits, the moral benefits, and the actual what? Tangible fiqh rulings as well. The story of Salama and how she married the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how she told the Prophet no, she refused, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for her, as far as her jealousy, as far as her daughter, etc., etc., etc. So Salama radiallahu ta'ala anha's daughter, for one reason, if Habib was thinking about her or not, I can't marry her. And even if she wasn't my stepdaughter, she would be impermissible for me to marry. Why? The hadith then says, أَرْضَعَتْنِي وَأَبَاهَا ثُوَيْبَةُ. There was a woman whose name was Thuwayba. And this woman, Thuwayba, what did she do? She did what? Me and her, meaning Abu Salama. Once again, the previous chapter. Everybody understand this? Me and Abu Salama are? Am I clear this or not? Arda'atni. Thuwayba did what?
Suckled.
Who? And? So therefore Abu Salama's daughter is what?
His
Technically, foster. Everyone understand this? Abu Salama is his brother, so the daughter of Abu Salama is his foster niece. So the Prophet couldn't marry her even if he wasn't married to Salama. Fahimna? Everybody understand or not? You with me? Everybody with me? Like the previous what? Chapter. Clear? Moving forward, the Prophet ﷺ says, فَلَا تَعْرِضْنَا عَلَيَّ بَنَاتِكُنَّ وَلَا أَخَوَاتِكُنَّ. So therefore, do not present to me, do not offer me, do not ask me concerning two types of women. And those women are your daughters and your sisters. All come together or not?
No.
We're clear on this or not? Right, so those are the ahkam fiqhiyah of that hadith. Let's see if we're reading anything from An-Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, regarding this chapter. Nawawi, he says regarding when Habiba said, وَأَحَبُّ مَنْ شَرَكَنِي فِي الْخَيْرِ أُخْتِي. The best person that I would want to share with me is my sister. He says regarding this, أي أحب من شاركني فيك وفي صحبتك والانتفاع منك بخيرات الدنيا بخيرات الآخرة والدنيا. He says what's meant by this is the one that would be your companion and the one that would share all of the blessings of being your wife and being in your company in the next life and in this life. And this goes to manifest the hadith, you cannot believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And this is, someone say it, Allah Alam, who will get mad or upset, people watching, chauvinists, feminists, misogynists, whatever gist or ism is out there, malish, is that one of the big problems with monogamy is that it's a manifestation of selfishness. That's a fact. It's a major manifestation of self. Everyone pay attention, please. Pay attention. Everyone pay attention. Pay attention. Everyone pay attention. Right? Is that from the problems of monogamy is that it's I have and then you have to go somewhere else. I can't help you. So let's say for argument's sake now, and let's play the devil's advocate, quote unquote, linguistically speaking. Please, any brothers, we're not speaking Arabic. We're not talking about Aqidah. We're speaking what? The English language, the English culture. We say playing the devil's advocate, it has nothing to do with shaitan. Everybody understand this? As we said many times before, we have brothers who refute us in English. Not in Arabic, but it said the English word that you mentioned is what? A mistake. How are you going to translate to Sheikh Fulan? You go over saying he said this, he says that. Sheikh Fulan is taking your translation with no knowledge or concept or background of the English language, English culture, let alone the context of the speech. So please, learn English properly, read the dictionary, read the thesaurus properly, right? Playing the devil's advocate. So I'm married to, this is my husband, right? Okay. My husband, mashallah, he's a great man. Not perfect, nobody's perfect. He's a human being, but he's a great man. His deen is excellent. He prays. He's made hajj. He's performed umrah. He gives zakah. He fasts. He's a wonderful person, mashallah. He's handsome. He's attractive. He's clean, hygienic. He smells good. He brushes his teeth, so on and so forth, right? He's kind. He's strong. He knows how to dress, etc. He's a good man. He's kind. He's loving. He's not harsh. He's not mean. He's not evil. He's not a fornicator. So on and 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 so forth. So I know as a woman, how many women are there in the world who don't have a husband? How many sisters that have no husband? For one reason or another. They can't get married. No one likes them. They can't afford this, whatever the reason. There are more women than men. My husband has 3 other women that he can marry, but that's haram. That's impossible. So every woman that has this mindset, that now we're going to multiply that now. So that's 1 man, 3 women. 1 man, 3 women. Let's count the women. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, all the way up. That are never, ever, in most cases, going to have any husband, let alone a husband that I know is a good, solid man. Isn't that a little messed up now, the mentality? We're not talking about just one household, one person, but it's a domino effect. Versus that 1 man now having 3 other wives that have a home, that have care, that have a qawam, that have a companion, someone to give them children, someone to provide for them, someone to fulfill their desires, so on and so on and so forth. So what is closer to generosity and loving for your sister in Islam what you love for yourself? Monogamy or polygyny? There's no doubt about that. And this is from the wisdoms, what? Behind the legislation. You know how hard it is to find a good man in the world. You know that, sister. You know how many creeps are out there, how many bad guys are out there, how many womenizers are out there. You know how difficult it is. Yet and still, you don't care about your sisters who have their needs and their wants unfulfilled. It's not my problem. And once again, that's not what? That's not one, but that is the system. 9 out of 10 Muslim women all have the same philosophy and the same aqidah. So now you do the math and you do the numbers with regards to how many women in the Islamic world are not married or married to bad brothers, unfortunately. Now let's flip it. Let's play the other role now. With regards to a man, how many brothers in the masjid or in your community, on your world, do you know have major problems and major issues? How many brothers you would never ever want to marry your daughter or your wife or your ex-wife or whatever the case may be? Because you know the problems about brother Fulan. And when a woman comes to you complaining about her husband, the first thing you tell her is, what type of guy is he? We all know him. Is he this? Is it no? But he has this problem and he has this issue. And so, all right, no problem. I know 50 brothers right now I can name by name who beat their wives. And I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about battering and abusing their wives. I know 50 brothers right now who have 20 different side women on the side. I know 50 brothers right now who have major problems, mental problems, don't have jobs. Guys that are monsters, unfortunately. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. They pray in the masjid, assalamu alaikum, beard, thobe, but they have major issues. I would never trust them with my daughter or sister as far as I can throw them. And I'm not a strong man. I can't throw them too far. I know your husband, Fulan, he's not perfect. I hear the points that you're making against him. I get that. But I know him personally. I know he's a good guy. That's a fact. We traveled together multiple times. We slept in the same hotel, in the same hotel room, so on and so forth. And I know he's not a creep monster. Versus Brother Fulan, get a divorce from him immediately. Because we all know the akhlaq of what? Get the point I'm trying to make? So oftentimes people, they live in a world or bubble of selfishness. They live in a world that lacks total contact with reality. Men and women. Habibi radiallahu anha, her mentality, her philosophy was, I can't keep you by myself. You're the messenger of Allah. And that ruling is going to apply to any other man who shares some of those qualities and characteristics of the messenger of Allah. Like we said, with regards to a man who's grown in his 30s or 40s or 50s who isn't married. Why aren't you married? Brothers who want to marry women, but I don't want to have any kids. I can't get married to a woman who have kids. Oh no, I don't want no kids. I'm not having no kids in my household, blah, 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 blah. No problem. This beautiful, righteous, pious, independent woman, blah, 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 who's in her 20s or 30s or 40s who has no children. Something right or something wrong with that situation? You guys with me or not? If she was so beautiful, so righteous, so pious, and so this, why has she never been married or have children? And she's of that age. So something is off. Okay? So Habiba knew that she couldn't keep the Prophet to herself because he was the Prophet. And that ruling is supposed to apply to men who have knowledge, who are handsome, who are brave, who are strong, who are clean, who are kind. They're supposed to be attractive to what? Other women, because those are the things that a woman wants in a man. For him, I'm not. That's something that every woman is going to want. A hard-working, honest dude. Not perfect, but what? He's a good guy. Every woman wants that. And why wouldn't you want that for your sister? Hey, that's her problem. She can find another husband out there. Sorry. I don't have to share my husband. Let her find somebody else. Tayyib, khairan, inshallah. Let's look at the Islamic communities now and keep that same mentality with those numbers. Don't forget, every man represents 3. So you add up the numbers of Muslim women and Muslim sisters who don't have a husband, or a very bad husband, or the brutal reality, and Allah knows best. In most cases, they'll live, they'll grow old without ever having a good husband. And you, sister, it's not 100% your responsibility. It's not 100% your problem. We're not saying that. We're not going extreme. But to a large extent, you're what? You're a part of the what? It's la shak fi dhalik. Everything that comes from a woman not being married, sin, problem, community, society, you have a what? You have a hand in that. So let just think about that. Let that be food for thought on your minds. Wallahu ta'ala. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So those are some of the main things. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, لست لك بمخلية بضم الميم واسكان الخاء المعجمة أي لست أخلي لك بغير ضرة. Alright, قوله وأحب إلى أن قال وهذا لا خلاف فيه وأما ما حكاه القاضي عياض عن بعضهم إلى آخره. طيب, those are the main fawaid of that hadith and of that chapter. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for guidance. We ask Him for firmness upon His deen. Allah surely knows best, and with Him is all success. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.